It's a great afternoon for some timeline form checks. I have not looked at a single one of these, so this is going to be all as I go. I'm going to pick out some of the interesting ones. There's 18 comments, so I'm not going to go through all of them. Let's start from the top. Mr. Andy Baker dropped in. It looks to me like a Smith machine high bar squat, and he posted this to mess with me. And I am not going to critique Mr. Andy Baker's form, but I will critique Dusty's form here. So he's figuring out the bottom position. Let's see what this looks like under the bar. All right. So first things first, whenever I'm analyzing squats, I'm looking for a few different things. Number one is having good balance, a good stance, proper depth, hip drive, and then how the back angle is on the way down and on the way up. So first rep, man, you're like borderline high. That looks pretty good. Some weight is crashing forward onto your toes out of the bottom, and your knees are coming in just a little bit. So sit your hips back. A good cue is thinking take your belt buckle back behind your heels, shove your knees out, and as you drive up out of the bottom, stay balanced through the mid foot. All right, 315 for reps on the deadlift. No coach, flying blind, but hoping to move towards 500. Body weight of 215. I think that stuck at a 455 one rep max, trying to work on bar speed. 315 for reps is not going to help you get any closer to a 500-pound deadlift, and this is like unless this is like a specific dynamic effort day. What I would be curious to know like what your best 5 rep max is. Where that would be if you 1RM'd 455, you're probably looking at like a 405, upper 300, maybe low 400, 5RM. And what I would look to do from a programming perspective is build that up over time. I would like to also see from this angle a little bit harder back extension. So a couple different cues here because I can't see everything that's going on, but getting your chest up harder, pushing your belly down to the floor to get this locked in nice and tight, or at least get the lumbar locked in a little bit tighter. That chest up, belly down to the floor cue would do you a lot of good here. Basement gym down in the dungy basement. What do we got here? Are those 35-pound plates? I wish I knew how much weight this was. 405. I'm going to 405 plus 70, 475. What is this? 480 or something? Sumo. That's actually not a bad little pull, man. I'm not going to mess with that one. Mr. Ryan. Now, this is a sweet little setup. It looks to be a 500-pound squat. Stance looks pretty good. Bar position. Boy, that's pretty crispy. The one thing I can see since you were low bar squatting, your chest is coming up just a little bit early on the way down. So I'd be yelling at you, keep your chest pointed down as you drive up out of the bottom. Other than that, like it looked pretty good. Just right here, you focus instead of trying to stand up, stay bent over and keep driving your hips up and drive your shoulders up into the bar at the same time. 425. Balance is all over the place, and the hitch. This is actually a really good thing. So, see where you start tugging on it with your hips down, and then in the bar forward of the midfoot, and your hips kind of rise up, and then the bar starts coming up off the ground. A couple different things. The bar is starting too far forward, and then you're trying to stand up a little bit prematurely. So, start with your hips up a little bit higher, the bar pulled into your shins a little bit, and then stay over the bar and push all the way to the top. You're standing up a little bit too soon with the bar forward. See how that bar has to walk itself back? And then you try to stand up, and that's what leads to the hitch. Okay. High bar squat. I have shoulder problems. This looks to be a starting strength gym. Yeah, you look pretty kyphotic, which I don't doubt that you have shoulder problems. little high there. You're like me. The kyphosis will, in low bar squats, they're not very nice to each other. A little bit high, honestly, by a few inches. I think you could get down there a little bit deeper. And with a high bar squat, you really have to think about dropping your hips down and back. Think like lowering the bar down into the hole with your hips. You still have to sit back with a low bar, with a high bar, just like you do with the low bar. Sit back and keep your chest up a little bit harder. Yeah. 375 squats to scratch. That's actually pretty clean. You're just, when you go in to set your back, this is a really good case of when you go to set your back, you're dropping your butt down and your knees are tracking forward. You can see how your knees are forward to your arms here. That tells me that the bar is forward to the midfoot and your hips are too low. Watch what happens. You start tugging, your hips come up, the bar has to track back over the midfoot so that your shoulders are slightly out in front of the bar. Kind of the middle of the scapula is directly over the bar, right? So there's just a little inefficiency here. When you set your back, keep your hips higher than you want to, and use the knees being forward of your arms as a landmark. They should not be forward of the arms. So if you pull your knees back, let your hips come up to about right here, you'll be in the right spot. You can just get tight and push and make sure that bar goes vertical up off the floor. That's not terrible for a high bar squat. All right, looking at the lumbar. Boy, the lumbar looks pretty good. That actually looks really quite good. All I would do, man, when you commit to that set of 5, just you see how much time you're taking between sets. This is a huge error, and it makes deadlift sets way harder than it has to be. Have a little bit of urgency. Put the bar down, drop your shins to it, take a big breath, get your back set, and go. And just develop a cadence because you're taking so much time. Like a set of 5 should not take like a minute long. It should be done. It should be done a lot faster. So, boom, push the first one off the floor, put it back down, get it set where it needs to be, set your back hard, push, and don't waste a ton of time between reps. It makes the perceived difficulty of the set way higher when you just spend a bunch of time messing around between sets. 415 for 5, still pushing for that 500 mark. Shins to the bar, chest up. That looks pretty good. I would see how you're kind of dropping your shins and going? I would spend some more time setting your back harder. It'll make the lockout easier. So instead of shins and then chest up and go, think shins, pause, squeeze your chest up in extension, and then go. The second thing is don't try to stand up too early. Keep your shoulders over the bar and push longer. That is how you avoid the hitch. Also, your hitch will get better if you do set your back into extension harder. So you've got to stay over the bar, avoid trying to stand up too soon, and that'll make that a lot smoother. We want our hips and our knees to extend at relatively close rates the whole way to the top. So you need to think push, 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 push. And here, instead of thinking stand up, drive your hips to the bar. And that'll help the knees extend and lock out at the same time as the hips at the top instead of one then the other. That's 8 inches high. NorCal Dan. Hips are starting a little bit too low. And the touch and go. I'd reset between each rep. It's going to make the sequencing and the consistency rep to rep so much better. So hips need to start a little bit higher. Reset at the bottom of each rep so you can set your back hard each rep. Mike. 385 dead. Man, with you, this is another case of the hips starting too low. And you look to be fairly tall. So, what actually helps tall lifters is if we can get your arms as long as you can and make them hang vertical. So, I would bring your stance in a little bit. Let your hips stay high when you go to get set and bring your grip in almost to where like the rough part of the bar meets the smooth part of the bar. So, your starting position will actually look more like that your hips will be more in this position at the start. Your feet will be a little bit narrower and your hands will be in slightly, which is going to make your arms longer and the positioning of it all better. So then you can just get your back set tight and push. You look a little kyphotic to have a little kyphosis there too. And that'll be a way to get you a really strong pull. Narrow up your stance, narrow up your grip, keep your hips high when you go to set your back and push. Leverages Tall Texan Coffee Company. This is a really good point here. And I'm going to call this out. When you go to unrack the barbell, have your feet closer together. See how you're kind of wide out, and then you have to like walk the bar out all fucking awkward. Like if you bring your feet together, you can not like touching, but a few inches apart. You stand the barbell up like that. You can take one step directly back with each foot and then one step out into your stance. So you're going to have a total of 4 steps, but by you keeping it closer on the initial step back, the bar isn't going to go back and forth on you like this, and it's going to be so much less awkward. Okay. So that's number 1. And then let's take a look at my leverages. You're a little high. Bury your hips down into the bottom. What needs to happen here, it's just subtle. It's a subtle couple inches, but high enough that I'm going to call it out. So sink your hips into the bottom. Hips back and down in the bottom. Don't think about bending over more to get some extra depth. So it might even just be a matter, man, of it might just be a matter of you feeling a little extra stretch down there at the bottom. All right. I think I got through them all. 12 minutes and 30 seconds. Hopefully everybody learned. I hope you all learned something. If you want additional help, link in bio. Book a call. Apply to work with me. Chat soon.